Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial Thursday. My name is Swiss and for this week we're going to be going over understanding Snake's Nikita. We're going to go over the Nikita move itself, which is Snake side B. So everything that you need to know about the Nikita will be in this video. So if you guys like the content, feel free to sub and like the video. And as always, let's go ahead, let's dive right in and let's get it. Alright, before we get into anything else, I just want to say that on my Twitch side, I am running a sub goal at the moment. We're at 26 out of 30 subs, but once we hit 30 subscribers, then we will be doing a Snake matchup chart. So if you want to see that, then definitely head on over to the Twitch side. It's free with Twitch Prime and $4.99 if you guys would like to subscribe to the channel. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into the frame data real quick. So you see it has 41 frame startup, so it takes a long time for it to come out. That's pretty much over half a second. On shield, minus 19, minus 14. This is going to decide whether it's the weak hit or the strong hit. Minus 19 being the weak hit, minus 14 being the strong hit. So the longer you have the Nikita out, the stronger it's going to be. Well, it has a cap obviously, but if you have it out for quite a while, then it's going to do more damage than it would with the weak explosion. So other than that, there is an amount of lag behind the Nikita. If you cancel it, it's 27 frames to cancel it, and 29 if he hits you, in which he does a small fist pump. So it's 2 frames longer for that animation. But generally, this is the hitbox. You can see that the hitbox is bigger when it's the strong version. So if you hit it on the ground, on the ledge, on the wall, or anything like that, the explosion is bigger than the weak explosion. So keep that in mind. So that could definitely help you guys out if you wanted 2 frame with the explosion. But as far as the hitbox goes, as the Nikita travels, the hitbox is pretty much exactly the same. So not really anything you have to worry about there. But the explosion hitbox again is much bigger if you get the strong version or the weak version, and we'll go over that very shortly. All right, so we're going to showcase the strong and the weak hit. So the weak hit, if you do it just straight and hit them, it's going to be 8.4%, but like if you're at this distance and you even turn it, it's going to be 16.8%. So that's a strong hit. So it's double in percent. So just keep that in mind. So even if you're at this distance, if you turn it and stuff like that, it counts as the Nikita being out longer. In that case, you're going to get the strong hit. Even if you're like full screen, it's still going to be the strong hit. So it's just really all dependent on how long the Nikita is active for. And in that case being said, the longer it's active, the bigger chance that you're going to get the strong hit, which again isn't really too much time. Even that small curve right there caused it to be the strong hit. So more than likely you're usually going to get the strong hit every time, unless they're like right in front of you and you hit them, then you'll get the weak hit. And that's going to obviously be how to get the small explosion and the bigger explosion when you get the weak hit or the strong hit too, that we mentioned earlier in the frame data. So that's what's really going to count for it. Again, it's all based on how long the Nikita is out, but it's pretty you're pretty much going to get the strong hit most of the time, because the Nikita doesn't have to be out for too long for it to be considered a strong hit. So otherwise, like if they're like right in front of you, again, you're more than likely going to get the strong hit. Now, if you cancel it above them, let's say, you're more than likely going to get the weak hit. So be mindful of that as well, for as far as like the weak hit goes, the 8.4%. I don't think there's a strong hit if you cancel it. It doesn't really seem like there is one, because it only does 8.4%. So I don't believe there's a way to get the strong hit out of a cancel. You're generally just going to get the weak hit. But if you crash it into the floor or the wall or anything like that, you'll still get the strong hit that way, as long as you qualify for the strong hit being, the Nikita being active long enough. Now we're going to be going over uses of the Nikita in the neutral, advantage, and disadvantage, so that way you guys know when to use Nikita and how to actually use the Nikita. So we're going to be starting with the neutral. So now you can use the Nikita in the neutral, but you generally want to make sure that you're covered as much as possible to where the Nikita, you can't actually be punished for using the Nikita. And as we went over in the frame data, there's a lot of startup and a lot of end lag towards using the Nikita. So that's why you need to make sure that you're in a safe spot to where you can't really be punished for doing so. I generally like to have grenades out, have the C4 covering me as well, then have the Nikita out. You could also do Z-nade into Nikita, so that gives you a cook grenade as well in the neutral. But generally, as long as you make sure that you're covered, or your opponent is at a standstill and they have to worry about grenades or something like that, then you can use the Nikita. Using a regular throw and then having the Nikita up above can be very helpful because you're covering them if they jump over the Nikita, over the grenade. The Nikita is going to be right there in the air. I like to put it in the air if I notice that the opponent is jumping a lot or if they like to stay in the air. So I'll use the grenade to cover the ground and then the Nikita to cover the air. So that's covering two options. So there's that. And then with the Nikita, you can also do like a light throw, then have the Nikita like this, or you could do what Salem does is he'll have a grenade out, shield, and then jump. So he'll shield, jump back, and then Nikita. That way the grenade is in front of him. So if you're able to master that, then that could help out too. So now you have a grenade in front of you, then you have the Nikita as well. So you can then do like a regular throw, grenade, have the Nikita out. So you have a grenade in front of you, a grenade at the opponent, and then you have Nikita in the air as well that they have to worry about. So that's just pretty much creating a wall and, again, pressuring your opponent as much as possible. Be very mindful as well if you're playing someone like Kirby or DDD or Fox, Falco, or whoever that has like a reflector, they can reflect it. Kirby and DDD can inhale it, then shoot it right back at you. Or like a Village or Isabel, they can pocket it, then use it for later. So please be mindful of reflectors. So you tend to want to use that move less if they have a reflector. So that's what I would say as far as the neutral goes. That's primarily what you want to do as far as using the Nikita. One thing I also do want to mention before we move into anything else is that when it comes to the Nikita, your opponent can't hit the Nikita away. So you have to also be mindful that they can just hit the Nikita away with almost anything, especially if it's a disjointed move, they could just get rid of the Nikita. Now, it's very, very important that if you are able to cancel the Nikita right as they hit it, they can also still get hit. Now, this could be very different for certain moves. So like multi-hit disjoints or something like that is going to be a lot harder to hit them. But for the most part though, when someone is making contact with the Nikita with a move like an aerial or a jab or smash attack or whatever the case is, you can try to cancel it and hit them for actually doing that. So now we're going to be going over the advantage state of using Nikita, and that's primarily when your opponent is off stage is when you want to commit to using Nikita the most. Most people's recoveries lose to the Nikita, even though some can actually beat it out if they do have like a multi-hit disjoint or something like that. It could be much harder to hit them, especially if you cancel it. But for the most part, you want to use Nikita. Now, be mindful again, like some people's recoveries are different from others. You got tethers, you got teleports, you got multi-hits, you have some up Bs that don't have any form of hitbox whatsoever, and then you got some that have like invincibility behind them. So once you notice that, then it's just a matter of understanding of when to use the Nikita. And also some people do have, reflex, and some people also have magnets, such as, the PK boys. So if they have stuff like that, it's very important to understand what moves they have when they're off stage to battle the Nikita and see if you can beat that. With reflex and people that have magnets or can absorb the Nikita, like Joker, Ness, Lucas, stuff like that, I tend to use the Nikita but try to bait that out. So you like want to fly it around them and then you want to hit them after they use that move. So that's like a way of doing that. With like tethers, you generally want to just put it where you think they're going to end up hanging when they actually use the tether. I like to kind of just have it around here somewhere to where once they tether and then they either they hang or they move or they like end up going for the ledge, more than likely they're going to end up hitting the Nikita on the way in, so that way you can get a stage spike or a kill that way. And for invincibility, like people that have invincibilities behind their up Bs or recoveries, like Banjo side B, Joker's up B with Arsene, and like Game & Watch's up B, There's not really too much you could do with that. Same with teleport recoveries, because they can just go right through it. So you more than likely just want to use Nikita to start a form of like edge guarding. So like you can use the Nikita, move it up here, and then cancel it. That way it lands right here. So that's going to cover an option. So that's just going to lead into edge guarding primarily. If they do have like an invincibility, most of them are invincibility on startup besides Banjo's Wonder Wing. So like if Game & Watch is like way down here, or Joker with Arsene, primarily their invincibility is right at the beginning, or at least less than halfway of their up B distance. So if they're way down there, then you can try to use the Nikita to hit them for going up. But usually though, they tend to up B pretty close to the ledge to where they use all of their invincibility. So they're just invincible the whole way through while they grab the ledge. So again, if you notice that, it's best to just either cancel the Nikita immediately after you noticed it, or just try to set up an edge guard such as this. Same thing with teleport recoveries. You're more than likely going to need to set up edge guards. So you're not going to actually want to use the Nikita to hit them, because it's going to be pretty much almost impossible unless you turn it. You can also turn it and like do it like that, to where you get the explosion hitbox to hit them to cause a 2-frame. Also very helpful on stages with walls such as Yoshi's or Kalos. You could do that too. So once you have your opponent off stage, let's say, and let's say that they don't have like, let's say they don't have like a tether or, you know, teleport or, you know, invincibility or anything like that. Generally, most people are just gonna use the Nikita and try to just go straight for them and hit them. And that's pretty much what you want to do. So you just want to aim it for them and then just try to hit them, so that way they can't come back. And if you're able to do that, you're going to be able to close out a lot of stocks that way as well. So if they have a multi-hit recovery, then, you know, definitely make sure to cancel it. That way they hit the Nikita, and then they end up being in a disadvantaged state for longer. Then you could try to set up another Nikita. Things like Fox and Falco's up B, Wolf's up B, Mario's up B, Samus's up B, Dark Samus as well, obviously, and, you know, and a lot of others. So be sure to just end up trying to cancel the Nikita on them. Now, again, like other people's multi-hit recoveries can have a big disjoint, so it can be harder to hit them, such as like Corrin, or, you know, many others as well. So, or like Peach is a really good one because it's a multi-hit disjoint, so it's going to be pretty hard or pretty much impossible to hit them. So if you notice that Nikita is not working after the first or second try, then feel free to just use it to set up an edge guard, rather than like setting as an edge guard like this, that is, rather than actually trying to hit them off stage. Some people are also going to use an aerial. They might use like an up air or a back air or something like that. If that's the case, then again, try to bait that out or try to cancel it on them. That way they end up getting hit anyways, and then just going from there. That's primarily what you want to do with Nikita as far as the advantage state goes. And just for a couple of tips in the advantage state, they're just something I just want to provide to you guys, because these are common mistakes that Snake players make as far as using the Nikita. If you notice that your Nikita just went right by them and ended up not hitting them, or you miss your opportunity to hit them and they just end up jumping through you or anything like that, be ready to cancel the Nikita as soon as possible, because you don't want to risk getting punished. Especially like if they just end up right here, like on the ledge, and then you're still using that Nikita and you're trying to like hurry up and turn it around to hit them. Even though that does work from time to time and you can cause a trade potentially, more than likely you're going to want to just cancel it as soon as possible. That way when they do come in, you could just hit them for doing it. I like to have Nikita out, then as soon as they pass it, I just cancel it, and normally they're going to try to go in and punish you for it, and then I'll just like up tilt or F tilt just to hit them for actually trying to run in and hit me for using the Nikita. So be very, very cautious and very ready to cancel the Nikita in doing so. Another thing is that with Nikita, I practically use it for a bait now. So if you know for sure you can hit your opponent with Nikita while they're recovering, then definitely go for it. But if you notice that, let's say it's a Cloud or like Roy or Crom or something like that, where like or Cloud for sure, where like they'll air dodge into the ledge because they don't want to risk like getting hit by it when they use their up B. Then basically what you want to do is make sure you keep that in mind on how your opponent is reacting to the Nikita, and use that to bait their defensive option. That way you can hit them, you can punish them accordingly. So like as an example, like I'll Nikita, let's say, and then if I notice that they air dodge in every time, you can go in for a dash attack. You could try to down smash as a 2-frame on them, or whatever the case is. Or like if they're up high, you can Nikita, force the air dodge, and then go in for an up air, or when they land, you can punish them that way. So make sure you're using it also as a bait. If you notice your opponent keeps getting by it, understand how are they getting by it, especially if they're air dodging. That way you can take advantage of the pretty much the long lag behind the directional air dodges and stuff like that too. And so now we're going to be going over using the Nikita and disadvantage. The primary option of, or primary use of Nikita is pretty much when you're recovering up high and you're way up here. You can use the Nikita, cancel it, and then come down that way. So that's going to be what you primarily want to use it for. And then it'll come down and hit your opponent. They try to hit you for landing. Now you generally want to do it when you're as high up as possible, whether it's here or higher. So that way you have a long amount of time to really set up that Nikita, because Nikita has a lot of startup. It has 41 frames startup, and then you have to cancel it, which is another 20 frames or so. So you have to worry about that. So if you do it, like let's say like right here, you're more than likely going to get punished because there's so much startup and end lag behind the move. So you got to be very mindful of that. Another thing to know is that when you have a Nikita out and you get hit, the Nikita just continues to move in its direction it was last chosen or last inputted. So I say that because there is another way you can use Nikita, and that would be light throwing the grenade and then using the Nikita, so that way it just continues on its path. You generally want to point it in the direction of where it ends up right here, where it floats right over this ledge, because if your opponent is here waiting for you, then they have to respect the Nikita either by retreating or they're going to be forced to shield it. So that's going to give you time to just get to the ledge without having to worry about them going off stage, hitting you with the back air, let's say, or going off and hitting you with the forward air or aerial, or any other aerial for that matter. So that could be like another way of, defense. It's not really used too much because there's a lot of startup behind it, and if you miss, you're going to end up pretty much losing a stock. The setup can be kind of hard as well. So as you saw there, I messed up, and if this was a real match, then I would end up losing my stock because of it. So that's the reason why most people don't really use it. You could also use it if you're launched up pretty high. So let's say I'm at 50% and I get hit by Kirby's F Smash. You could like use it like this and then cancel it, and you can see that I hit Kirby there, and then you can go to the ledge that way. That setup, you generally want to use it in that same direction or same area where I was in after I got launched, or if you're like even off a little bit farther off screen, that's okay too. But you generally don't want to use it close up to the ledge because you can end up getting punished for that. So you got to be very, very careful. If your opponent knows the matchup, the snake matchup, more than likely it's not going to work because they could just go all the way down here and then hit you. So be mindful of that as well. Understand what options your opponent has, what tools they have. If they have really good recoveries and jumps and aerials, they could just hit you like that. So you don't want to use it all the time. But if you're like high up, then you could really use it that way if you would like. So just cancel like that and then just kind of go for the ledge that way. But that's pretty much it as far as like disadvantage goes on when you would want to use the Nikita. So I hope you guys learned something here, and if you guys like the video, definitely subscribe and like the channel as well, or like the video. I do have other social media platforms down below: Twitch, Twitter, Patreon, etc. So feel free to check those out. Again, my name is Swiss. Thank you all so much for watching the video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye now.
Never duplicate you, never multiply two. Everyone copy and paste, mask all up in on their face. Disney fantasy MP haste, they are cool with their complacent. You feel it in you, then you brush it off you. Insignificant, but you got something we want, and your whole life is a taunt, cause you will not just comply. Waking up for your day.